Here we have Delesh's 1976 450 SEL Mercedes. As you can see, the ride height is quite different than it used to be. The tire sizes are much different. The stance is much different. It's a pretty bitchin' looking car now. It's really cool to see as customers, we get different customers that have different dream cars in mind, and some stuff people might make fun of. Some people might think that it's not their cup of tea, but it's always interesting as you work on a car to get to this point where you can see the car sitting on the ground. You can see the customer's vision start to come to life, and you're like, man, that thing's pretty cool. It's not really something I would have thought of, but man, it's pretty neat. So as you can see, we've got some reproduction Euro bumpers from overseas. The quality is kind of hit and miss on them, but we've got those mocked up on the cars and trying to get those tweaks so we can fit that and get the spacing between the top bumperette and the bumper itself. I'm probably going to see about filling in the gap between the grille and the bumper to get that tidied up. As we've gone through the rest of the car with the interior, we're getting those parts and pieces together to get all the details into the car. If you go around to the back of the car, you'll see the Euro bumper also mocked up with the bumperettes that are shorter. We have exhaust tips that we've mocked up that are huge because we just wanted to be able to stand back and get the sizing of the tips before we cut the lower valence, because we really don't want to change the shape of the valence. So there's just really no sense in cutting it all out of the car, as we've been designing and printing some exhaust tips that would be smaller. These tips made us decide that we wanted to cut it down by about 33%. So we'll make those smaller and thinner, tuck them under the bumper a little bit further, and get the official shape and position that we want before we cut the car up. So the next steps in this car is just to get everything in the engine bay, the air intake tube, the power steering reservoirs, the intercooler reservoirs, just get a lot of that stuff mounted. We've also been designing some valve covers and blower covers and things like that to give it the Mercedes vibe on an LT4, so that when you pop the hood, it has kind of an OEM SLR Mercedes vibe to it. We're still going to work on fitting the bumpers just to get the fitment that we want. And then once we get all of that stuff in place, we'll start designing the interior to modernize it from the 1970s style that was in here to something a lot more modern.